Here we are. Here we are. Here we are. We're live. Yep, we're here. Yep. Oh, thank God. Who just? I'm so late. I'm so late. Please, ladies and gentlemen, pardon my lateness. I literally left around. When did I leave? Like 3:10, coming from Delaware, and I'm literally just getting here. When I say I got slammed in all kinds, everything was smooth. It was gravy until I got to Highland Avenue, and then yeah, and of course, everyone decided to do all kinds of funky stuff. But anyway, I'm here. I'm here. I'm grateful. I'm humble. I'm happy. I'm elated, and I got a unique, very special. God, let me let this man talk and tell you what he's about. But I have Keith James here, so I want everyone to pay attention to what it is Mr. James has to say because he has a lot to say. So, Mr. James, I appreciate you coming on here.
Thank you for having me. With an old friend.
Yeah, we go back like, damn, I want to say Cadillacs and flapjacks, but
Baby, I might have been a baby.
I was trying to make a joke, a rhyme out of that one, but big, yeah, we go way back, and I can honestly say I have never been disappointed in anything that you have done, and since I've known you. I can honestly say that. And you've been here numerous times. I've always given you open door here. You just call and I try to do what I can do. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Mr. Keith James
Yes.
and his, should I say, political move?
I mean, political move, life. We're talking a lot of different things. I am running for state representative in the 10th district, Wilmington, Delaware. Currently working on the campaign in Philadelphia with Carla Cruel for city council, running the 4th district. That election
Yeah.
it's almost a week out.
Yep.
November 5th, Tuesday, November 5th. So make sure the west side of Philadelphia, Allegheny West, East Falls, Manhattan, Roxborough. That's all the 4 are going against Curtis that seat.
Ooh.
And back home in Delaware, I have the state rep seat that I'm running for. So it's a lot of fun things that I'm into right now, traveling for work. So it's just really been a good time, learning experience. There's some news talks about politics.
Yeah, let's talk politics. So give us a little synopsis of who you are, Mr. James, because I know you have done some phenomenal stuff in the Wilmington, Delaware area, and but a lot of people don't know. So tell us who you are.
Well, I'm a son, a brother, I'm a friend, I'm a person, I'm Keith. I'm somebody who has grown through their struggles, learned a lot about life, and utilized my experience to help others in unique ways to create the best form of themselves that they know how to. I'm just one of those big advocates for life learners. Like, we have to be willing to learn. Anybody that's out here preaching to you saying that they got the message or they got the whole package for you, they're lying to you. Because we're constantly learning, we're constantly growing. More importantly, the world is constantly evolving. So I'm just one of those, I like to say, real people who is willing to show you my true colors, tell you my goals, and allow you to be the judge of me as I go on this trail. And as I go on this trail, I also understand that in most ways, your judgment of me doesn't matter. Because I have to be comfortable within myself as a leader, as a person, as a man of God, to know that what I'm presenting is to be more like God or to walk back or to bring good and love to the world. But where the judgment matters is I have to work on how people perceive me and how people perceive my leadership. I don't want to be one of those able leaders that gets the good stuff done but can't have a conversation with. But as I grow through these experiences, I think the people have seen a lot of changes in me as a person and me as a leader. And I think, from now all the way into the White House, they're going to continue to see me evolve into what I want to be.
White House.
Yeah, you already know. true advocacy behind. The one thing that separates me from the rest is I will actually take time to listen to what the people want in the district. And we have some cool new ways that we're looking to engage the voters, all of the legislative pieces that will require my vote, or that I will present for others to vote, and the people first will be able to say whether yes, they want that law to have my yes vote or no vote. And if I ever vote against what the people want, then there will be accountability. Provides full transparency, and this also provides, or it creates a new way of engagement for you to be a part of the legislative process. When we are creating laws in Dover, it happens during the day while you're at work. There is no way that you can be at all of these meetings and all of these sessions to know, what's going on in these laws. Okay, you can get a synopsis once it's done, but then it's done. You need to be at these meetings. You should be talked to before it's even brought to committee sometimes for a lot of pieces. And so I think that's the one thing from politics, and that's what I'm going to bring to it. Making sure that the people's voice is heard over and not my own personal agenda.
A while ago, you had paved the way for that mayoral age to be lowered. How was that?
I mean, and when you think about that, that was part of the legislative process, and that was, I guess, what really got me thinking about running for state representative. When you think about what took place there was, I saw the change, regardless of if, I wanted that seat or people, whatever it is. 30 years old to be the mayor of the city really leaves out a large gap of important ideas, leaders, and citizens that should really be a part of this elective process. Not just voting for people, but also running for things. And so by lowering that age to 25,
Cool. Now, setbacks,
yes.
major setbacks. Of course, politics like to use politics and judge up people's past and imperfections and flaws. And I get it. I want to make sure, transparency is out there. Because I like to know who I'm putting into office. If you some daggone pedophile, this daggone drug lord, kingpin, I don't want you in office. But you are none of those things. But word has it on the street that someone is trying to belittle you.
I mean,
Is that belittling, or is they just trying to drag you, or are they just trying to open the door to facts?
um,
I've heard a lot about those fake news.
And I think once you get into the realm of politics, or you really start getting interviewed on a certain level of consistent news outlets, you'll start to realize how you can be misquoted a lot. It happens. So, do they have a personal vendetta out against me? No. Do they have a natural bias against me and people that look like me and things that I do? But I am a true advocate, believer that like people will be actions and papers,
Hmm.
apologies, asking for favors.
Yeah.
And the thing is, me as a leader, I have to be willing to keep serving the people, whether they vote for me or not, whether they like me or not.
Right.
And that's where it's really, I think, is important. That's where you really stand tall in those situations, where you show them that your integrity changes. Shots when they go low,
You go high.
Right? That's what our first lady
Yeah, that's what she
right?
said. That's
Our
what she
first lady
said.
told us that.
Yeah.
And so while they're going low, we continue to go the high route. I was asked to not speak on certain things to my scholarship,
Oh.
and because I did not do that in school, not really media,
Oh, so if you can't, can I touch on that?
I mean, you can touch on it. I'll be limited in what
To that.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you can touch on it.
Yeah, so do tell about this scholarship thing that it has been circulating around that you may or may not have had, or that now, of all the things to talk about. And I don't want to come across like I'm not neutral, because I can be neutral, and I am neutral, even though I know you. There's a lot that I don't know about you. Granted, with a lot of people, but like I've said, like in your presence, I have never read, I have never seen and or heard anything bad about you. That doesn't mean you have not done anything or you aren't doing anything. But to have someone drudge up a scholarship and attach that to your name, and then critique it with all these fancy words to say, okay, these are the reasons why we shouldn't vote for you, because, he may or may not have, or he may have done this, rather than, like I said, this is a serial killer, he's a pedophile, he has a rap sheet about as long as I stand 5'5". You have none of those things, but yet the worst anyone can do is this scholarship thing. And I get you want to take the high road.
Yeah.
I get it, but what is it about this scholarship that is pissing a lot of people off?
I think where people are getting upset with the scholarship. I mean, I don't even know if really people are getting upset. I don't think anybody who at least I know or associate with would have a problem with a young man advancing his education and taking the opportunity to better himself in a great university. So I think where the problem comes in is that the news journal can't get a certain level of information on this scholarship, and the details surrounding it. Anybody who was a part of, I'm going to call it the United Way wave. Mm-hmm. When United Way was investing in Delaware and everybody wanted to collaborate with you, it was having the actual engagement efforts with their youth engagement department when they were doing the life mapping things. It was a different era for United Way, I would say. During that time, they saw what happened. They were a part of the process. The community was there, and anybody that tries to take away from my accomplishments, I just think it's sad in some senses, but in reality, for me, I have $0 in student debt. That is a blessing that not many people can say. You know what I mean? And if that's what they want to talk about, I'm going to let them have that conversation amongst themselves. And as they continue to bring that conversation up, there is a group of people out there who know what took place and have the opportunity to stand up and say, he's not lying. This happened. And whether they choose to or not does not have anything to do with me. It doesn't make me feel any type of way. I'm a true believer in my energy will speak for itself. Everything will come to light, and there will be that time where they come out and they give out the full details of what happened with me and how I got my full ride to Women's University. I studied behavioral science there. I had some great teachers. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
in college for me at that time was like truly. I was coming out of Del Tech. I was an education major there. I was a teacher, and started working for United Way, and I took time off at Del Tech. And when I was working with United Way, I mean, we were doing innovative, engaging all these, doing so much great work. And then, this is only a year after me being clean, and a scholarship to go to school comes up. You think I'm asking questions? We were building up some of the greatest things that the city has seen, in my opinion, and I still think that, what United Way did during that time was some of the greatest programs. That Life Map program changed people's lives and still is changing people's lives to this day, including my own. So, an opportunity to go to school, and there's nothing illegal going on, right?
Right.
We have an opportunity to do something greater with ourselves that people who I'm seeing every day don't have these blessings. Why am I going to miss it? So I did. And in order for me to keep that scholarship, I was asked not to speak on that scholarship. And I understand why. Google Keith James Delaware and just see what pops up. It's not always great things. I don't always approach situations the way that people want me to, the politically correct way. If there is an injustice somewhere, it's a threat to justice everywhere, and I stand up to injustices, no matter where they take place. And if it's in my presence, I will stand and speak on it and use my right to freedom of speech to make sure that situation doesn't happen to me. And some people say, well, you're not supposed to fight your cases in the street, you fight it in court. The way it works is most of the things you'll see is when I was standing up to the police officers. And I will say that if we could go back and change it, I wouldn't have done anything differently. Because, there were certain things surrounding that case, and this is, there were certain things surrounding that case that one side believes he didn't have a gun, another side believes that he did have a gun. And what I'm saying is that regardless of the fact if he had a gun or not, this man was in a wheelchair, and police officers took the shot and killed him. They didn't use any de-escalation measures. They didn't do the best they could to try to bring him down. He was already shot when they arrived on the scene, and they killed him. He was in a wheelchair.
Wait a minute, are you talking about
Jeremy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That right there was a mess.
And
Yeah.
when no officer was charged, we were protesting anyway before we knew that we even want to release that nobody had been charged. And we found out when we were protesting, there was a time where I got very involved with the police officers. They asked me to help keep the protesters back. We wanted to keep going forward, but they asked me to help keep them back. And so all the photos, you'll see me with my back to the police officers. Me, the police officers behind me, and our protesters here. We're gonna go back. F them. But we're gonna go back.
Yeah.
Right? This we're trying to win the war, not the battle, right?
Right.
And while I was helping them, I guess when I say SWAT, they said we don't even have a SWAT. Their SWAT pulled up, walked up to the line, and grabbed me by my back and threw me. And I turned, when they started grabbing me, I put my hands behind my back, because one thing I hate is when cops start grabbing your arms, they be bending it to break it, I feel as though. So I automatically put my hands behind my back. And then when they threw me, I'm just like, well, who would do that when you just asked for my help? So I'm turning around like, y'all asking me for help? And so then the lady comes up and she pushes me. Get back. I drop my book bag, put my hands on my head. Are y'all arresting me? And I started snapping on her. Are you arresting me? Are you arresting me? Are you arresting me?
Yeah, I remember that.
What the heck are you touching me for?
it was a big stink that went on. A lot of pros and cons as to whether you should or shouldn't have, whether you did or didn't, whether it did or did not happen. That was the one I didn't attend, but I do know if we're talking about the McDowell family. I was there and stayed in contact with the family, and such a shame, but I do remember that very well. And you did make like bumped a couple of heads, should I say? Yeah, you made some enemies. But when you're defending your rights and you're standing up and you're protesting for what is right or what is wrong towards some people, of course you're going to get a lot of flack.
Look at what has happened, with releasing, just since that case. We won't go as far.
Mm-hmm.
Start with Jeremy. Right? What happened?
Mm-hmm.
That went down. And all of these things haven't changed. The laws that protect these officers still remain the same. And in Delaware, the law is if an officer leaves, if he believes. Now that word is so vague that if we changed it to perceived, identified, observed, that if that happened in our state again, where an officer had to make the tough choice to use deadly force, if he did so in an illegal or ill will intent, as far as not really perceiving a threat, not really observing a threat, just being plain scared because of the color of someone's skin, the tone in their voice, how loud they are, how big they are, and decided to use deadly force, then we would see more accountability across the board in our state, and no officer would get off for an unjustified shooting. In this particular case that you're talking about, the officer got off for an unjustified shooting. And that means that they brought in experts and said, because the law is worded this way, we cannot charge this officer with these crimes. But the officer should not have fired his weapon, did not think of the safety of his police officers, did not think of the safety of the public, did not give the victim time to respond to that, to the commands. Waited 3 seconds after his commands to show me your hands, and shot him in the neck with a shotgun. They say he should not be a police officer. He should not have a firearm. But they cannot charge him. That is a problem in the way that we wrote the law, and it's a problem in the way that we utilize the law. And I am not saying that all police officers are bad, but I'm saying that when we have bad police officers, where the Attorney General back then at the time was making a report like that guy did not deserve to be a police officer,
That's not good.
that calls for change in the way that we wrote that law so we can have accountability when police kill us in an unjustified manner.
So question, how do you get the laws changed? Because let me tell you what happened. Philadelphia had, I think it was like 10 police officers, could have been more, that were to be fired. And then found out later they were rehired. So the thing is, we got one that had allegedly had sex with a minor, had her in police custody for prostitution, and then decided, hey, well, I already got her, then let me just get my little thrills. He had sex with a minor while on duty. But yet he's still a police officer. They're patting us down, illegal searches, illegal arrest, killing us. They get fired and then they are rehired. How do you feel about that? And like, what can we do to change that?
Anybody who is using their position, their job, their role, their influence to rape, abuse, and just disrespect anyone, or women in particular, should not be on whatever job that is. So in this case, that officer, if it's just as plain as you just say that this officer did these things, then that should not be a police officer. That should not be that does that sound like he's protecting and serving our community?
No.
By encouraging someone to do illegal acts, by continuing to degrade and devalue the life of someone else, and to disrespect and disregard of someone else's body and values. They should not have those roles and those jobs. And if I was the mayor, it would be my responsibility to make sure that those police officers are held accountable. And what I realize is a lot of politicians have a hard time really holding police officers accountable because of the way police unions are set up, because of how much they support their officers. But what we're trying to get police unions to see across the board is we are all for police officers who want to do the right thing, who want to actually police and serve the community in a positive way, who doesn't see everybody who looks different or is bigger or has a louder voice as a threat, who knows the skills of de-escalation, who can do sensitivity trainings and understand the value of different cultures and different communities. Those are the type of police officers I want to see walking my community. And in some places, we just don't have that. For that case, I mean, honestly, that's just like terrible to hear. I feel for that young lady. I feel for her family. But that police officer shouldn't be a police officer. And if it were up to me, he wouldn't be.
Now, question. Your first 30 days in office. Matter of fact, but before I go forward, let me go backward. What is it that's going on in the 10th district now that makes you say, I want that seat and I can do a better job? Not saying that that person in there now isn't, but you can do a much better job while in that seat.
One particular thing is the addiction crisis in our state. I know that a lot of drugs come in through our state that way, or in our state because they're rooted in that district between the 10th and our neighboring districts. There's a lot of heroin. I know that there's a lot of abuse going on there, and people don't have the resources they need to truly thrive. There's a study that I encourage people to look up. It's the rat park experiment, and what they found is if you put a rat in a box and just give it 2 bowls of water, one water with heroin and coke, one water just plain water. The rat is going to drink the water with heroin so much to the fact that it kills itself and dies. And it will continue to do that in that box. Now, when they put them in Rat Park is as nice as it sounds to you for a rat, right? Mm-hmm. It has all the, colorful balls. It has all the cheese, all the, the females. They can do everything that they want in Rat Park, right? And they still have those 2 bowls of water. One that's plain water, one that's water mixed with drugs, right? In Rat Park, the rats choose the clean water over the drug water in that scenario. Choose it so much less to the fact that when they use it for recreational, and they never use it to the point of overdosing and dying. Now, that's a drastic difference. You put them in a box and give them those 2 waters, they're going to drink it until they die. But if you put them in a more thriving environment, they'll do it recreationally and won't ever die. I just looked at some reports today, and it says up, I guess, until September of 2018, out of all 100 safe injection sites that we have across the world, not one death reported as of 2018. That's crazy. So when you're seeing that this Rat Park experiment, that if you shoot the resources to these, high drug areas and you actually give them things to drive, what gives them opportunities to thrive? First of all, you address the underlying addiction issue. We have to deal with mental health. We have to deal with the education gap. Because the way that they're teaching our students right now, the classrooms look the same as they did, years ago. They're not evolving. They're not growing with us, and we're just seeing a lot more challenges, honestly, in those realms. And I think that these are all underlying issues that affect mental health in our state, that affect the poverty rate in our state, that affect the addiction crisis in our state. And that's really where we have to shoot our resources to, give them things to thrive, and we'll see the addiction start to decrease. Place the safe injection sites along with these other programs in different parts of our state, and you'll start to see the overdoses drop. You'll start to see the access to rehabs within our state and different treatment programs increase, hopefully, and also see the innovation amongst those rehabs increase drastically. But when we have, more outpatients than we do inpatients in our state, or we're sending a lot of people out of state to get rehab help because we don't have the resources here to do it, or their insurance doesn't allow it here in this state, that's a problem. We need to make sure that our insurance, that we create a way that your insurance company can't say no to you in a crisis,
Right.
when you're dealing with addiction. And if not, that we have the right programs in place to where if they tell you no, that you can still come here and get the quality service you deserve to make sure that you get clean. And these are just ideas that I think people are afraid to think about. And, it is affecting people's families. I have talked to legislators who have battled with addiction, who have family members who battle with addiction as close to their, sons or their brothers or whatever the case may be. So I'm not going to say they don't know about addiction. The problem is, if they really haven't dealt with it, if they haven't overcome the addiction and still don't know people who are going to it, it's like a lot of us, a lot of people, when they get clean, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want people to know. And I understand people who are that way, but, there's so much value in sharing your story. There's so much value. And when I have firsthand experience, and I am not ashamed to share my struggles, because my struggles are going to help me become what I hope to be, one of the best leaders that, the world has to offer, because that's what my heart truly desires. Because I've seen a lot of things, in that lifestyle, and in that realm that just, didn't make sense, that at my age I was able to get access to a lot of these things. It was easy for me to leave school, drop out of school, and have access to drugs, all types of illegal things. And when it's happening, and that was in the 10th district. I grew up in the 10th district.
Mm-hmm.
And so our current, representative does not have his ear to the ground to know about those everyday struggles that are really happening behind those closed doors of those families. Because these are the types of struggles that are so sensitive. Their families are not coming out necessarily asking everybody for help, especially their, state representative.
Mm-hmm.
But as your state representative who's been through that and has that experience and opens my doors,
That's what I was going to ask.
Anybody who needs help finding resources, finding a sponsor, just getting clean, and can talk to you from a perspective of, I've been there and I'm not judging you, versus, oh, you need to do this when you're like, people who've never been addicted talking to an addict, like,
Yeah. I wanted to ask you that, because does it make going through a crisis, does it make it easier for someone in that crisis to relate to someone who has or hasn't been in that situation, which you just answered? But for someone, I remember, speaking to a lady who has no children, and was trying to give me solutions with my children, and I'm like, okay, it's easy to tell somebody, who's never been incarcerated, oh, go get it. It's easy when who has a place, to tell somebody who doesn't have a place, what you can do. If you have a job, what to do. It's easy if you've never experienced those things to tell somebody if you've never been in that shoes. Yeah. And I guess the judgmental part comes when you are now trying to convince them that your way is the right way, when you've never experienced what it was like to be an addict. Yeah. So how am I going to tell someone who who's been addicted on whatever for such a period of time, you can just quit. It don't take all that. You don't need to go to therapy. Just stop using. It's not that easy for me. Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, even though I've been through some of it, I can't tell people, just stop using, or tell them to do my way and that they'll be okay. But it comes with a understanding mind, an understanding heart, and a place of love when you're dealing with addiction. And it really takes a special type of person to really deal with that. But you touched on one thing with the criminal justice system, which I would, just want to bring to light. When I was a minor, I was arrested. And when I was arrested at 14 years old, those charges were dismissed without prejudice. So dismissed without prejudice, you would think that I will not be judged
Right.
by these arrests. But when it came down to me enlisting into the military, or when I do a federal background check, what pops up? This arrest record. Now you want me to go to either pay to get it expunged or go to the free classes to get something expunged that I was not convicted for, and furthermore was dismissed without prejudice. So, you know, under my leadership and me and state representative, I will create legislation to where, and it would probably be a part of the Second Chance Act, really, to where we're able to make sure that the state will be responsible in expunging any charges against anyone that is dismissed without prejudice. That should not show. If you were arrested for murder and you had those charges dismissed without prejudice, and you went to get a job and it popped up
And
on
it
your
popped up.
background check, is that justice? Is that justice? And in a state like this, where they can fire you, you know, when they want to,
Yeah.
or not hire you and never tell you it was because of that. Man, these are the type of things that, you know, I'm hearing from families that are, you know, relate to my experiences, that understand the real life struggles, that, you know, aren't putting on a front and pretending that their life is all great, that they don't have any struggles. Everyday Americans know what I'm talking about when I say everyday struggles. They know about the addiction that's happened in their family. They know about the education problems that their child is facing, or that their friends or peers are facing. And if they're not aware to certain problems that are existing in their community, it's not because they don't care or they're, you know, not aware. It's really because there's a big front and facade of people who care coming to you around elective seasons. The reason why people are saying, Keith, it doesn't seem like you're politicking. I'm doing the same things I've been doing over all these years. Nothing changed when I said I'm running for state rep. Nothing changed, not even me. We're still talking to the people in the district. We're still getting the voters. It's a big plan that they told me to dream up and that I could achieve. And when I started going for it, some of them disappeared and fell off.
Right.
And now that I'm being a little bit more quiet, they're like, "What are you doing?" It's a love you, hate you, to love you again relationship in politics. And I'm just one of those people who, you know, I can't say I don't like to indulge in it. You know, I entertain it because I know that. When we have somebody in there who is willing to politic and not be corrupted, not lose their morals, not lose their values, and still represent the people 100%, those are the type of leaders we need. So forget my views on guns, forget my views on, you know, even addiction, mental health. If we are presenting legislation and the people in the 10th district and in our state do not want it, then that is the vote and the voice that I will represent, not my own personal agenda.
Cool. Well, I guess we heard that one, but I gotta wrap this up real fast. And of course, you know, the door is always open to Mr. James. All you gotta do is call. I got you on. But before I let you go, what is it that you would like us, our listeners, to know about you moving forward? Your game plan for Wilmington.
You know, I want people to know that I'm that young man that's going to really have our voice represented in Dover. You know, there's not much that I, you know, want to share about me because this isn't about me. I am the tool or the vessel, if you will, that's going to get the things done that you've been asking for all of these years. The changes that you're saying, well, why hasn't it been changed before? Or that's what they all say. I'm that guy that's going to make sure when I get down to Dover that these changes actually happen, that we're actually actively engaging our voters all year round, not just during election years or election seasons. It's important that people feel engaged with their, you know, elected official and feel involved with the legislative process. And I plan to, you know, create that opportunity for not just the 10th district, but hopefully, you know, my colleagues in Dover will follow suit and use some of the innovative technology that I plan on bringing there to engage all of our voters in the entire state and make sure that we are serving by the people, for the people, and again, not for our own personal agendas. So it's really simple.
It's really simple.
Very simple.
It's very simple.
Listen to what people want and do that.
So somebody wants to volunteer, they want to make a financial donation. How does anyone get in contact with you?
They can email Keith James for state rep,
KeithJamesforStaterep@gmail.com. They can get me on Facebook, Keith James, or Keith James for State Representative. And you can find me on Instagram at coastal_Keith, coastal with a K.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming out here again, as always.
As always.
I think you'll be back next week, right?
Sunday we'll be back with Carla Crew because her, no, not Sunday, Thursday. The 31st we'll be back because her election is Tuesday.
Yes.
November 5th. And Carla is a great mentor, a great leader, somebody who's teaching me so much. She's doing her thing, so make sure you go for it.
Yeah. I interviewed her cousin a few years ago when I was live and direct, and very interesting young man. So, but it was great having you. I appreciate you coming out here, sharing, and of course, guess we'll see you back next week.
Yes, we'll see you then.
Because then comes election time. Oh,
man. Make sure y'all look up Carla Crew, man. Carla Crew.
Yeah, Crew as in Cruel. Like, you so mean.
Listen,
yeah, that's her last name.
We might need that to get some of these things done, because when you see the corruption that's taking place in some of these systems, man, it's needed. Yo, Carla, she's the real deal.
Yeah.
She is the real deal.
You know what?
Dignity,
before I let you go, because we always, because I think I said that last interview, we always hear people say they're the real deal, and then you get in the office, and we like. I'm going to use Wilmington as an example because I was trying to be indirect, telling everybody, don't get these cats into office because once you get them in, you can't get them out. Now you're crying.
Listen, I will call out names. Don't get me. I will call out names. There were people that I supported. I supported the council president. That should not be our council president because our previous council president is under indictment for doing some,
shady stuff,
immoral things. But why isn't she? Look into that. There's a lot of things that's going on. Like, it's just, if people are really for the people, stop lying. But people really, only thing I can say is trust your gut when you're voting because your gut never lies to you. If you feel it's politics as usual, trust that gut instinct. If you hear people, if enough people, if 5 people say that you have a bad attitude, you should try to look at your attitude.
Right.
So after a while, it stops becoming rumors and lies, and they actually start becoming part of these people.
Yes.
They start becoming the truth. So I would just encourage our council president to do better. I would encourage all of our elected officials to do better. But to also represent the people. Listen, ask them what they want. Stop assuming that you always know what people want. We don't have to all have all the answers. I don't have all the answers of how the 10th district is going to be the best. I don't. So we need to start asking people what they want, and they will tell you if you just listen.
Got you. Drop the mic. Ugh. I wanted to hold on to it for a little bit, but it's okay. But it's all right because you shall return next week. We'll have you back. But I thank you for coming out here. I really do. I appreciate everyone for taking the time listening to us. Please pardon my lateness, but I literally was stuck in mad dope traffic, literally. I think I rode this tow truck for about 10 blocks. Yeah, get the 52nd, then Market, and just wall to wall, please. So, yeah. But if you're out there driving, be safe, be mindful, and check us out, PhillyHottRadio.com. You don't want to miss it, or download the app at Live and Direct Media Group. Call in. Phone lines are 484-477-6348. But hey, I'm going to take a pause for the calls, and you just hold on real tight. I will be back.
More.